Later this year, there will be 2 major events at the international level. One is September at the UN General Assembly. The international community will come together for the Sustainable Development Goals. And end of this year in Paris, Climate Change New Convention or Protocol will be coming together. I'd be very interested to hear from you directly your commitment from Singapore's perspective to Sustainable Development Goals, and also leading up to Paris. What's Singapore's position or commitment to international climate change issues? Thank you very much.
Oh, this is a very complex question. The specialists spend many nights worrying about it, but it's a very big problem for the world because human activity is changing the global climate, changing it irrevocably, and the cost for undoing that change or even slowing down that change is very, very high. Very high economically and impossibly high politically. That's a reality. And yet we have to get together and do what we can in order to mitigate the impact on the environment and to adapt to the changes which are inevitable and which are already underway. It's a problem which all countries have to come together and solve, especially the big countries. And they are not, in this context, they are called the major emitters. The ones which emit a lot of carbon into the air, or methane, or greenhouse gases. And China has a big role to play in this. I think it's not just for the sake of the world, but for China's own interests. If it does not make changes, it will be very severely impacted by the climate changes which are underway. Both in terms of irrigation, in terms of agriculture, because you'll have droughts, you'll have desertification, in terms of sea level rise, in terms of coastal areas which are going to be inundated, typhoons which are going to be more intense. So these are major impacts which will affect all countries, including China, and for China's own interests, it has to act. Of course, it can't go on its own. It has to act together with other countries. I think its agreement with America to make certain commitments is already a valuable first step, but it can only be a first step. And progressively, further steps have to be taken. For Singapore, if we take a practical view, my explanation has been, even if we stop breathing in Singapore, it will make no difference to the world climate because we are so small. But as a responsible member of the global community, we will do our part together with other countries in an international agreement. We have to do our fair share. What we can do depends on our circumstances too, and our circumstances are somewhat special because unlike other countries, you can't have, we only have fossil fuel. We can have certain amount of sunshine and solar power, but you can't have nuclear because the island is too small. You don't have hydro because we don't have mountains and rushing rivers. We don't have geothermal. We don't have the possibility of other renewable energies like wind. And so we have to depend on fossil fuel, and it's not possible for us to say we will not use fossil fuel. But within those constraints, we will do our part, and we hope that there will be a good agreement in Paris this year in December. And we have been very active working in the UN framework, previous meetings, trying to bring countries together so that we can have a fair agreement which in the end is wearable and which people will uphold and implement. And that's a small contribution which we think we can make.